The primary focus of this course has been generating car keys from scratch. But I want to take a few minutes and talk about transponders because most of the cars made since 2000 have transponders in them. However, I don't want you to think that you cannot do automotive work without a programmer. General Motors used a security system for many years that did not involve a transponder. We'll learn more about that in the next course. Also, many cars have onboard programming. There are many locksmiths working today that still have not bought a programmer, so you don't really have to have a programmer. However, if you really want to get serious about automotive locksmithing, you're going to want to get one sooner or later. This is a Ford key, and I've cut it apart to get this transponder out of it so we can see what a transponder is. This is a larger transponder. Many of them are quite smaller than this, but most people still do not realize that cars that are made today have transponders in them. And I say cars made today, probably 90% of the cars that are manufactured today in the United States have transponders in them. Not every single car has a transponder, but most of them do. So we need to understand what a transponder is and how it works. Here's a closer look at it. And again, they come in different shapes. This is not the only shape that you'll find. There are different shapes and different sizes, but they basically work the same way. Most of them do not need a battery to function, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. This again is a Ford key, and we saw that there was there's a chip in the key. I have a drawing here that we see that the key goes into the ignition. Now around the ignition will be a ring called a transceiver ring. It both transmits and receives signal. And when you put the key in and turn the key, this will happen just in a thousandth of a second or less even. There'll be a signal from the transceiver which will energize the transponder. The transponder will respond with the signal, and if it's the correct signal, which will come back and be received by the transceiver ring and then sent to the encoder, if it's the correct signal, then the car is allowed to start. But if it's not the correct signal, then the car is immobilized. And so that's why they call the unit that controls all of this process an immobilizer. So if we make a new key, and normally when you get called out to make keys for a car, they've lost all the keys. That's why they're calling. So if it's a key with a transponder or a chip in it, then you're going to have to program it. There's three possible variations for programming. One, many cars have what's called onboard programming. And the way it works is the car can program itself. You simply put the key in, wait for a specified period of time, cycle the key on and off, and wait for another specified period of time, and the car will program itself. And there's instructions for different cars on how the self-programming works and how long you should have to wait for it to program and so on. So that's called onboard programming. Now, if it does not have onboard programming, and most cars today that are coming out today do not have onboard programming, you're going to need a programmer. And we'll talk about programmers in just a minute. But a programmer basically is a computer that you can hook into the OBD port on the car and program your new key to the immobilizer. Some cars you cannot program the keys. They're dealer only. Primarily Mercedes, BMW, and Volvo, and potentially others out there. There's always new things coming out. There's new cars being made every year, and it's always worth checking every car. Before we take a job, we need to get all the information we can about the car. Starting out, if you're new to automotive locksmithing, my suggestion is to stay away from these more sophisticated cars. All the cars can be difficult to start with. You're going to find that on-board programming does not work probably 25% of the time, even though it says that it should work. The programmers will not work all of the time. So there's enough problems just with these first two categories without accidentally getting into a car that you cannot program. Please take just a moment to like the video and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.